All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Patriots First and Goal, a victory Patriots First and Goal, the third one of the 2024 season. The Patriots took down the Bears in Chicago, their first home loss of the year. I am Alec Shane here breaking that game down, and week 11 in the NFL somehow with my good buddy Rich Hill. Rich Hill, how are you, man?
Hey, if you haven't been paying attention, Patriots are winners of 2 of the past 3, and one of the losses, that loss was in overtime. I'm feeling pretty good, man. How are you doing?
No, I am feeling good. In Alex Shane classic party poopery, I will say the Patriots have not won 2 straight since 2022, but that's okay. That's all right. They have a chance to maybe break that streak this coming week against the Rams. But honestly, it's funny, man, breaking this game down. Let's get right into it. First and goal, Patriots versus the Bears. Coming into the season in like August, of the 4 or 5 wins I predicted the Patriots would win this year, they would all look exactly like that game looked. The defense was stifling. There were not 150 yards on the ground that they gave up. The running game was working. Drake May was efficient. They had a lot of high percentage passes, quick outs, getting Demario Douglas in space, a couple of deep shots, keep the defense honest. The tight ends got involved. But field position was good because of Marcus Jones. And it was exactly how I pictured the Patriots would win games. And it wasn't a super flashy, sexy game, but that's okay. And the guys were supposed to step up. And it was a great, probably the best one of the year, in my opinion.
Totally. I mean, everyone kind of thought they would be around 3-7 at this point in the year. So they are on schedule. I still would like to see a couple more games in a row before I'm like, hey, they're heading truly in the right direction with the right leadership, with the right coaching. But as you said, I mean, this was one of the most complete games they've done this entire year. The defense was the best it's looked ever this year. Obviously against Caleb Williams, this Bears offense, they fired their offensive coordinator right after the game. Not a good situation over there. So it's not like they stopped the Chiefs or something like that. They stopped a bad team with a bad offense, but they did it. It's the NFL. It's hard to do it to this degree. And the recipe for success this game is what we said for the past few years, what it would always take. They have a very good defense. And if they can have a league average offense, they can make the playoffs. That's not going to happen this year. Obviously, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. But I'm saying if this is how they showed up in the first half of the year, if this is how they showed up against the Dolphins, if this is how they showed up against the Jaguars, if this is how they showed up against the Texans, potentially, if this is even how they showed up against the Titans last week, they win those games. And it's one where the defense has to pull its weight, and they did. The offense has to be okay, and they were. And, they had a turnover. Obviously, don't want to have that happen. But Drake May is still learning and developing. And ultimately, I think it was just like a really good step along the way for them this year.
It definitely was. The question, though, I have, Rich Hill, what different happened in this game that allowed the defense to look competent for the first time in a couple of weeks? Was the Bears just not being good? Is it really more the Bears just stinking up the joint versus the Patriots turning some kind of a corner? Not like the personnel was different. Did Brendan Schooler as a spy come in like some kind of cavalry? And what exactly happened defensively that allowed the Patriots to finally right the ship here?
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, the Bears are bad, right? The Bears are a bad team. And so that helped. That definitely helped. I will also say the Patriots getting a lead helped. Not playing from behind. This is how Belichick defenses always work their best, is when they force other teams to be one-dimensional. And obviously it wasn't an insurmountable lead, but up 13-3 at the half, they're able to tip the scales a little bit. We went into this game being like, you got to stop DeAndre Swift. Like they obviously have a lot of really good receivers out there, but if you can stop DeAndre Swift, not allow 150 yards on the ground, they're going to be in a good position to win this game. And when you have that lead at the half, you remove that ability to rely on the run to drain the clock. So that's one area where they did a really good job. They did a much better job stopping the run, averaged 3.6 yards per carry. That's awesome. That's really great progress from also Christian Barmore returning to practice this week. Yeah. Also massive for this team. But I think just as important as their ability to stop the run, their ability to run helped so much, where they averaged 4.1 yards on the ground. Ramondre Stevenson, obviously only 3.7 yards per carry, but that's better than what they've been doing. The fact that they were able to have reliable and consistent production on the ground on offense gave the defense a rest, gave them a break. And that is something that they've been sorely missing a lot of this year, is the opportunity to just recover so that they're not playing on their heels the entire game.
Especially since especially early in the game, a lot of the Bears' drives started at like their own 48-yard line, and they still were able to stifle the offense of Caleb Williams and the Bears and not allow them points. Yeah, the long sustained drives were really, really nice to see. And a really interesting wrinkle in that they used Ramondre Stevenson and Jermichael Hasty early, and then they brought in Antonio Gibson late when the defense was a little gassed. He had some fresh legs. That was a very effective strategy as well. But I think that I really like the most is like the number of quick little screen passes I saw, or the quick outs, or the quick slants. It's like, yes, this is what we need to do when your offensive line is struggling. Get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly. I mean, Tom Brady was great at that with Julian Edelman and Wes Welker when they had line issues back in the day. So why not do that here? It was really good to see. Jalen Polk had himself a game with his one catch for 2 yards and a touchdown. I'll take it. That's a massive upgrade. If he had dropped that one, he was so open. If he had dropped, that would have been the end of his career. But he didn't. I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. Maybe that was all he needed. That one gimme touchdown will get him off the schneid. Kayshon Boutte continues to be the guy. I love what he's bringing to the table. I love what Pop Douglas is able to do. I'm curious, though, Rich Hill. There's an important name missing from the receiving stat line, and that's your guy. That's your boy, Kendrick Bourne.
I know.
What do you think's going on there?
So the reports are out that the coaching staff is like, hey, we want to give our younger guys their run, which totally fair, right? We went into this year being like, if they're not competing, if they're not contending, I don't need to see people who are not a part of this future, right? Like I think Kendrick Bourne handled it with so much grace, posted about it after the game where he's like, hey, it's not about me. It's not about me. I'll do whatever is asked. He is a consummate team player. He's just continuing to prove my point, Alec, that he is an all-time wide receiver. But I think really it's just that they wanted to give Douglas, give Boutte, give Polk some time. I still do not understand why KJ Osborne was out there. 1 target, 0 catches. He has not been able to do anything this year. At least Kendrick Bourne has. And he's on a 1-year deal. Bourne's on a 3-year deal. I don't understand why they would give his time to Osborne instead of Bourne, but coach's decision. I find it a head scratcher. But ultimately, I think he's just being a team player. I would love for the Patriots to know who they have in the receiving corps. I'd love for them to continue to see if May can build a rapport with all of these players. When you look at the snap count, Boutte played 97% of the snaps. Osborne played 45% of the snaps. It was not like a very wide receiver, super heavy game. Austin Hooper played 64% of the snaps. Hunter Henry played almost 90%. So it was a very tight end heavy game. You think of like the personnel that they utilize, they're not really looking for Bourne, who plays the Z role a little bit more. They're looking for people who can go out there and block. That's what Boutte is able to do. I think that's what they like about Osborne, his ability to do that. So I think it also is a little bit of a game plan situation where the packages that they utilize, they're using a lot more 2 tight end sets as opposed to 1 tight end sets.
Yeah, maybe Bourne will be back later on in the season. I can see them, there's a 3-game stretch coming up to talk about later in the podcast where I'm very curious. They could go 3-0 over the next 3 weeks. They could go 0-3 over the next 3 weeks, or 2-1 or 1-2. I could see any combination of possible, or like 0-3. I can see any possible scenario happening next. And so being able to continue to build that rapport, I like that at least 7 different players caught a pass. Should have been 8. It was 8 targeted, 7 caught, at least 1. Leading receiver only had 4 catches, which isn't the end of the world. It's not like he's only going to one guy zeroing in. Wasn't perfect. That was a horrible pick. I think he was trying to throw it away, and the wind caught it a little bit, but still not something you want to do. But that's what you expect from a rookie. Overall, this is a fun team to watch, and I'm enjoying watching this team play, especially when they play like they did. Defensively, Rich Hill, obviously the Bears are bad. Do you see Brendan Schooler getting more reps as like a spy role on the mobile QBs? That worked really well. That was a great defensive wrinkle.
It really was. I mean, it's also one where it's like when they just have so many injuries on defense, like what else are you gonna do? Like they don't have like
back out there.
Right, exactly. So it's one where, hey, why not? Why not? Especially when they're going to still try and throw it. You need to have someone who's able to be mobile and also theoretically drop back into coverage. And they rely a lot on their tight ends. I liked it. I think it gives them some speed up front, gives them a little bit of an unexpected, I don't know what this player is going to do. I don't know if it'll really go beyond these few snaps. I feel like we saw this a few years ago with when they were like defending Lamar Jackson. I think Brady was still with the Patriots at this point in time, but when they just brought in extra safeties and like that was just their base defense, and everyone was like, "This is the future." It was like Adrian Phillips, Devin McCourty, Pat Chung, and they had like one other safety on the field. Maybe it was Deron Harmon. And it was just like they had everybody on the field at the exact same time. I was like, this could be the future of like positionless secondary. And so I like the idea of putting Schooler out there. Is he going to make a living on it? He's a core special teams player, one of the best in the league. So I don't think they want to risk losing him, especially with how good the special teams unit has been so far this year.
Yeah, no, I do think it's now part of the rotation. But again, I think when you have a quarterback like Williams who is mobile and does have a tendency from game tape to hold on to the ball a little too long, as we saw on Sunday, a lot of the sacks were on him, not getting rid of it more quickly enough or not getting to his check down. He had some guys open. So I think when you have a quarterback who's mobile and tends to hold it for the extra second or two, someone like Schooler on sub packages is a great little wrinkle you have to account for now. What a great player he's turned out to be. And the special teams, yeah, I mean, Joey Sly had a solid day. Marcus Jones had a good punt return. The special teams are not a liability, which is really nice, although they have given up some long punt returns, but I guess that happens. Other players are allowed to make plays as well. Overall, though, Rich, I think it was a really good team win. Not one I expected, one you predicted. So good work there. I do really hope, though, this was more the Patriots. I wouldn't say they turned a corner on Sunday, but I think it was not, if this season is going to be a kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of season, it was a solid 2 steps forward, and you play the team in front of you, and a win is a win. And again, I think your point is right. 3-7 through 10 weeks. I don't think anyone would have been like, that's unrealistic coming into this season. Maybe how they lost some of those 7 games were a little disappointing, but Drake May's getting better every week. The defense is getting healthier. Barmore could come back as early as this week. Probably not, but you never know. Barmore could come back. Maybe Jabril Peppers gets over whatever legal issues he's dealing with, and that turns out okay. This team could be, quote unquote, coming into its own way too late for anything to happen, but at least enough for a strong finish to the year and a strong start to 2025 and beyond.
Totally. I mean, we're talking about this. Like, what is the dream right now? It's to finish ahead of the Jets in the division, and potentially, as our friends have mentioned, potentially second. Potentially second. The Dolphins are also still bad. So there's a world where the Patriots could finish second in their division. That would just be hilarious. So I'm here for that, and that's absolutely what the team should be going for.
Yeah, I mean, look, the second place team in the AFC East is 3-6 right now. It's terrible. And the only reason they're 3-6 is because they had a bye week before the Patriots and the Jets did. It's not like the Dolphins are. It's a really, really easy division. I don't think maybe since 2007 has there been this much disparity between the top of the AFC East and the bottom of the AFC East. The Bills are 8-2. Huge game coming up for the Bills this week. And it's just funny. Again, I think we talked about it when the Patriots beat the Jets. The expectations that New England had this year, the expectations the Jets had this year, they're the exact same record. And the Jets have so much cap space tied up in a 41-year-old quarterback who's completely checked out. They're a mess. They have no head coach. And I try not to take joy in the misery of other fans, but I don't, except for the Jets. Except for the Jets.
No, I saw this really funny picture. It's like, it was a meme with like, it was a SpongeBob and Squidward thing where it's just like Squidward's in the dark inside of his house and looking out the window, and SpongeBob's running around outside, super excited. And it just shows Squidward as the Jets at 3-7, just melancholy at 3-7, and the Patriots also at 3-7 outside, having the time of their lives. And I would so much prefer being the Patriots with this record than the Jets, because it's fun. It's fun to have hope and upside as opposed to just great disappointment.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the only real negative of this game is I think they dropped from first overall pick. They now pick like 7th overall in the NFL draft, but like, who cares? I'm not about to tank for number 1 overall pick.
All that matters is Drake May is the guy, and I feel like he is. And so everything else can fall afterwards. The only reason you would go for a top 5 pick is if you don't think you have the quarterback.
Right.
If you think you have the quarterback, go 5 to 15 overall. It doesn't matter. You will get fine pieces in that range anyways. So they don't need to tank. I would rather them have beaten the Titans. I would have rather them like continue to be competitive and look like they're making improvements. This Bears game was the first step on that. But next week, they have a much bigger challenge at hand.
Yes, they do. They have the Rams next week. It is time to go around the league on second and goal. It is week 11 somehow, Rich Hill. Don't know how that happened. And week
Don't
11,
like it.
and this podcast is brought to you, as always, by Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy sports accessible to all, because all you have to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. You can run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It's the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your guys gets injured. That means if your player leaves the field in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. It also offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your accounts this sports season. Plus, you sign up today, you can get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive that bonus. It is guaranteed. So just download the app and use the code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS. It'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, Rich Hill, week 11. Obviously, the big game this week. I am blown away this wasn't the Monday night game coming into this. Not like they didn't think these teams would both be good. Chiefs at Bills, Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Makes no sense why they didn't flex it, but whatever. Possible AFC Championship preview. That's going to be a great one. And then Ravens Steelers, another great game I'm excited about this week.
Totally. And then like the one that happened on Thursday night, Commanders at Eagles. The Eagles seem to be like the quietest 8-2 team I can remember. I feel like my perception of them is still that they're bad. That Sirianni is disappointing at head coach, but they're winning their division right now. They're doing a great job. But this is a strong week. I think Chiefs, Bills. Alec, I'm conflicted. Is it okay to root for a divisional team like the Bills because you're thinking of the bigger picture of I want the Chiefs to finally get their first loss of the year?
Yeah, like, excuse me, I like the Bills. I've never had any, even though they're AFC East rivals, I've always really enjoyed Bills football. I like the Bills fans. They've been so bad for so long. They finally managed to get themselves a good team. I really like Josh Allen. He's fun to watch. And if I was a Bills fan, I'd be screaming at him to just learn how to slide. It's 3rd and 30. Why are you running with 3 guys on your back? Just go down for the love of God. But like, you got to admire that kind of toughness. And the Chiefs, I've watched them all season, and they're kind of reminding me of the 2019 Patriots, who started out like 8 or 9-0. But something was kind of off, and you were just kind of waiting for the brakes to fall off that team. And maybe this is the one. Chiefs at Bills in Buffalo. Bills Mafia is going to show up in full force. I'm pulling very hard for Buffalo in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's one of those things where I would be thrilled if the Bills won the Super Bowl, right? Like, I wouldn't want that for the Jets. I would be apathetic if it was the Dolphins. I would much rather have the Bills or even Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I would much rather have either of those 2 teams win. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, not that they'll actually make it, but I'd much rather have those teams win the Super Bowl, win the AFC. And this Chiefs team, I believe that they have the worst point differential of any 9-0 team in NFL history, which again is like, you're at a 5-star restaurant here and there's like the napkin isn't folded correctly, so who cares? But it's one where I feel like the Bills are a better team. I don't think that the Chiefs, even though they're undefeated, are the best team in the league. I don't think that they're even like the top 2 or 3 teams in the league, which is weird to say. I just don't get that vibe from them. I feel like it's there was like a Steelers team a little while ago that also went like 10-0, and then they just, again, the wheels fell off, and it was just like, no, you're like a fraud undefeated team. You just had lucky bounces go your way. You're barely getting by with a weak schedule. And that's how I feel about them. I hope that the Bills win. I kind of hope that the Bills take the top seed overall this year. Obviously want the Patriots to beat the Bills when they play their head-to-heads in the final couple weeks of the season. But it's one where if the Bills end this Chiefs reign, I would be very happy for them.
I would too. Again, I like the Bills. They're a fun team to watch. I root against them twice a year when the Patriots are playing them, but they represent the AFC East, and I'm okay with that. Speaking of AFC East, let's go to if the Chiefs Bills is the yin, the yang to that game has to be Colts versus Jets.
Can they both lose?
Is anybody besides Colts and Jets fans? Are even Colts and Jets fans going to watch this game?
Well, the Colts, isn't Anthony Richardson starting again? I think they have like
I think it is,
one week where they're like, Joe Flacco is going to be our starter now because we got to turn the page. Anthony Richardson still has to develop. Flacco did a goose egg last week, and then they're like, oh, yeah, now it's back to Anthony Richardson, huh? And you just have to see this team. This is a team that's frustrated that they're 4-6. This is a team where they have such buyer's remorse on Anthony Richardson. This is where teams have so much regret around trying to find the next Josh Allen. That's what so many teams have done, where let me get this physical specimen. We've been here before with Jamarcus Russell in the past, but like, let's get the biggest, most physical specimen who can throw a ball 80 yards down the field. And we can fix him. We can make it work. We can do it. And then Anthony Richardson can't even complete 50% of his passes. And he's not getting better. They're not putting him in a position to get better. And they're pulling him off. He waved his hand to get taken out previously. And like, that's
wild.
He should be done, right? That you can't seriously put a quarterback who says, I need to come out of the game when they're like in the red zone or wherever that was. Like you cannot expect the team to say, we'll rally around this person when they willingly take themselves out in that way. And that's not like machismo or anything. It's just, who is this person? If they're not willing, if he's just tired, what are you doing?
It is so wild to me, given how crucial the quarterback position is in professional football. It is arguably the single most important position across any professional sport. How hard it is to find one that can get you there. Yep. It is just insane to me. And the flyers they take on guys and the mental, like there's so many things that need to work for your quarterback. And one of those big ones is mental toughness. Yep. And not a good look for the Colts quarterback in this one. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Rich Hill, before we go on to the Pats Rams. Of all the bad teams in the NFL this year, all the teams that are not going anywhere this year, of which there are legion, I am really happy where the Patriots are among those
totally
in terms of quarterback situation, cap space. Future looks very bright for this team. There are a lot of teams that have a lost season and no end in sight for the nonsensory. So luckily the Patriots are in good shape, and I am very happy with how things are shaking out so far, which will brings us to the next game. Hopefully they can get 2 in a row. They're playing the Rams. They are at home. This is not the Rams team that won the Super Bowl a few years ago. They're not a bad Rams team, but they're not some kind of offensive juggernaut. Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback. They've got some good receivers, but it's not maybe the Rams team we were thinking about. And maybe a lot of Patriots fans out there aren't even familiar with this Rams team. So let's break it down for them. Let's start off with the Patriots offense against the Rams defense for 3rd and goal. If you are the Patriots defense, who is your primary target to stop, and how are you building momentum you built against the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where the Rams are returning to health, right? Cooper Kupp coming back into the lineup. Puka back in the lineup. They were 2 of their top players against the Dolphins last week, even though they lost to the Dolphins 23-15. In part, it was because they didn't protect the football. They weren't able to run the ball. And that's where the Dolphins were able to succeed. It's a kind of balanced Rams team when they're at full health. Matt Stafford is the Matt Stafford that we know, accurate, able to make the big throws, doesn't necessarily have the depth when he's down, both Cooper and Puka. But now that they're both back, it's a different calculus, right? Like, we don't know how much or what this offense is capable of because they've been hurt so much. Kyron Williams, very capable running back, able to both run and catch. He is their bell cow. Gets most of the carries, has 176 carries on the year, which is the vast majority of them. So they go with their running back. That is just what they're going to do. 8 touchdowns already. So very reliant on him. They have Cooper Kupp, Tutu Atwell, and then Puka. Those are their big ones out there. Demarcus Robinson, if they need to have a big throw out there. In general, I think that the Patriots match up kind of okay. Right. The way that they've always excelled with the Rams, with Cooper and Puka coming out of the slot, means that the Patriots are going to have to be very, very intentional. What I would love to see is Christian Gonzalez matching up against them, shadowing them. Because if the Rams are going to win this game, it's going to be because Puka or Cooper are able to excel. They're able to have a big game, build off of, I think Cooper had like 90 yards. Puka also had like 100 or something like that against the Dolphins. They made up the vast majority of the passing attack. If Gonzalez is able to continue his exceptional level of play this year, he has been, according to the metrics, like the 2nd most effective cornerback behind just Derek Stingley in the entire league. at doing their job, making sure that receivers get no separation, that they don't get catches, that they don't get yards. Second best in the league. If he's able to replicate that against Cooper Kupp or Puka, they're going to go far. Patriots are going to do a great job with having success if he's able to do that. It comes down to who's going to be in the slot versus who's going to be outside. They're both very movable. So I think that the Patriots should choose one of them for Gonzalez to shadow. And then they need to use bracket coverage on the other one. And I think that will make them okay. But Gonzalez is my X factor for the Patriots because he's been their best player on defense. And if he's able to continue his level of performance, then the Patriots defense is going to have a real shot at giving the offense an opportunity to succeed.
Do you have a preference, Rich Hill? If you had to pick Cooper or Puka to assign Gonzalez to, you pick one over the other, or is it whoever's on the outside?
Yeah, I would have preference on who's on the outside just for the sake of where has Gonzalez been most comfortable, where he's played the most. But also, Cooper Kupp has primarily been in the slot as a receiver. I also don't want to overplay how Cooper's ability, right? Like his big year was in 2021. He's had a lot of injuries since then. He's not the same receiver, and that's okay. I think Puka is a little bit more dangerous at this point in time, this point in his career. But Cooper has been more available. He's played the past few games in a way that I feel like he's more reliable. But if I'm the Patriots, I just say whoever's lined up outside, that's going to give him the best opportunity to put Gonzalez able to succeed. And then you don't have to teach him or have him try and learn how to play in the middle of the field for the first time this year.
So that leaves Marcus Jones or Jonathan Jones on the other one. They're both 6'2" and over 200 pounds. So Marcus Jones is giving up a lot of height and a lot of weight to these guys. So it's more of like Jonathan Jones and the safety help kind of thing. That needs to make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a hard situation, especially because if you look at the other receivers out there, if it's DeMarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, they're the much bigger deep threats, right? Those are the players that are going to get the opportunities to try and get targeted 20 yards down the field. You've seen that. I think DeMarcus Robinson has been getting the lion's share of the deep targets, but had a 23-yard catch against the Dolphins. He's averaging 16, 17 yards per catch over the previous couple of games before that. So Robinson's been building in his number of targets that he's been receiving. So Cooper Kupp, close to the line of scrimmage, right? He is the true slot type, does not get down the field that much. He's averaging less than 10 yards per catch. So if I'm the Patriots, I would say Marcus Jones against Cooper Kupp, if he's in the slot, pay with that matchup, because then you have Jonathan Jones and his speed trying to take away the big throw down the sidelines, whether it's Tutu or DeMarcus Robinson. And then you have Gonzalez against Puka. Obviously, alignments can change, but the Rams are definitely one of those teams that likes to have their players. They like to have their 3 receiver sets and just go with it and know that they can rely on it. They don't really have a tight end that they can really count on in a meaningful way. So I think that the Patriots are going to be in a lot of nickel. But I think also we don't want to undersell the import in stopping the run. And I think that that's where the Patriots might have to go a little bit heavier up front in order to give the secondary a chance to succeed against these talented receivers.
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody can cover for 8-9 seconds, particularly a receiver like Cooper or Puka, just the way it is. Luckily, Matthew Stafford is not as mobile a quarterback as Caleb Williams is, but he's no slouch back there. This could be a big Jeremiah Farms game. I think he had a great breakout game against the Bills. He's going to be my X factor. This one, kind of sub-package pass rusher, interior guy, not only on the run stuffing, but also on the community contain that he did against Caleb Williams. I don't think he's some kind of world beater, but he had a very strong game against the Bears, building on momentum. Him and Dietrich Wise along that left side or right side of the line, is a pretty good combination. Keon White seemed to be back off the schneid a little bit, so maybe Jeremiah Farms could be kind of that little bit of edge on the interior line that people don't see coming.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Stafford's not going to run.
No.
Right? This is not, we were talking about what is Brandon Schooler going to do. This is not the game where you need to have a spy for him whatsoever. No. And it's one where if the Patriots can pin their ears back and go, they'll be able to do it. I like the idea of Farms giving some push up the middle on it to open up some space on the edge. I would love to see Anthony Jennings continue to have a really good outing. And again, Keon White, if he's back, I mean, the Patriots had 9 sacks against the Bears. Maybe it's just whatever they did last time, do that again. Because if they're able to pressure Matthew Stafford, he's not the most safe with the football. right? He does throw interceptions, middle of the league on his interception rate. I think they have 7 interceptions on the year. In general, they don't fumble, but like there's opportunities for them to collect interceptions. They've had a turnover in almost all but one game this year. Patriots need to capitalize on those opportunities, of course. And I think if they're able to disrupt him, hit him, make him not get into a rhythm with his receivers, then the Patriots defense is going to at least put them in a position to succeed, because as potent as this offense seems in theory, they've only exceeded 25 points like 3 times this year. And, they had 15 against the Dolphins. They had 20 against the Raiders, 19 against the Packers, 18 against the Bears, 10 against the Cardinals, 20 against the Lions. Like, this is an offense that is pretty middling, obviously dealing with injuries, but it's one that if the Patriots can hold them to fewer than 20 points, I think they could win.
Yeah, it's tough because, we don't really know what we're getting with the Rams. Maybe the Rams don't either. It takes time to develop rapport. Obviously, Cooper Kupp and Puka have been there for long enough. It's not like they're coming in completely green, but they haven't really worked together all season, and maybe that could be some timing issues. I will say, though, I don't think Matthew Stafford is going to hold on to the ball as long as Caleb Williams
No
did.
way.
They may have to get home a lot quicker and prevent the short field. That's all I really need. The good news is, though, Rich Hill, the Patriots have shown they can sustain long drives and they can score from pretty much anywhere in the field. So that's a good transition to 4th and goal. Rich Hill, Patriots offense against Rams defense. Obviously, we want to see Drake May limiting those lousy throws. He's got 2 weeks, 2 rookie throws. He's due for some more. That's fine. But overall, how do you feel like this Patriots offense matches up against the Rams defense?
Honestly, I feel like it's not a good enough offense to say that they match up well against anyone. I just want to say that out of the gate. I don't think they match up well against teams, but it is one where I think the offensive line can do enough to allow the offense to do stuff, right? There's not an Aaron Donald on this Rams team anymore. They have good young talent. Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Jared Verse, good pass rushers up front. They have some good players on that line, but there's no world beaters, I would say. They have promising players, but no established players, which I think puts the Patriots in a position to be pretty good. And I think the next level is their secondary is pretty weak. They do not have a good secondary. And so if the Patriots offensive line is able to hold their own in the trenches to allow Drake May, allow the receivers to get open down the field, there's a very real chance that the Patriots can put together a few really good drives. I think there's not been a lot of teams able to do that against the Rams, just based off of game cadence or anything like that. And I think that they have pretty good linebackers overall. But it's one where if I'm the Patriots, my passing attack might be through the air, because I don't think that the secondary of this Rams is the best. Again, not saying that the Patriots are better. I don't think the Patriots offense is better than many, but if there's a chance for this passing attack to do well, just like last week, that was the game for the rushing attack to do well, because the Bears are worse on the ground than in the air. I think that this is a case where the Patriots might have better success through the air than on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a whole lot of reason to deviate from last week's passing plan. A lot of screens, short passes, quick outs, let the skill players get into space. This could be last week was a big Austin Hooper game. This could be a big Hunter Henry game. I can see the tight ends kind of getting involved a lot more. Maybe get a little weird offensive wrinkles in there. I'm very tempted to pick a very out there X factor, Rich Hill. And since the Patriots are already out of it, I'm just going to go for it. What the hell? Why not? My offensive X factor is going to be Marcus Jones. I think Marcus Jones finally sees a snap or two at receiver in this game. I've kind of been waiting for him to unveil his packages. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. I think he's a good offensive weapon. I don't want him to make a switch and be a receiver forever, but I think this is a good game to get a Marcus Jones screen pass or some kind of trick end around with him, and just put that on the radar that he's still an offensively viable weapon for the Patriots.
I love that. It's about time. I haven't seen anything creative to that degree this whole year out of this offense. So why not? It gives them defenses something to think about. I like that. I think this is a game where Demario Douglas probably going to get 50 yards, going to be consistent. Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, probably going to combine for 70 yards like they usually do. It's going to be fine. My X factor, I think Kayshon Boutte is going to get a big catch. I think he's going to 30-plus yard catch at some point during this game. But I'm going to go big too. Jalen Polk.
Whoa.
This is going to be his breakout game. I do believe a lot in like the mental part of the game. And he didn't have a big game, obviously, last week against the Bears. But I do think that touchdown matters. And I do think that the team has continued to try and support him in getting him open and getting him opportunities. And he's still seeing the field. You know, he had over 40% of the snaps, almost the same amount as Osborne, almost the same amount as Douglas. They are letting him have opportunities. And as I said, I think that this Rams defense, this Rams secondary, gives him the best opportunity to perform. I think that Polk was a good prospect. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he hasn't been given the best opportunities, and I don't think he's made anything of the opportunities that he did get. I think this is where it all comes together. I think that he's going to come out, have a 40 to 50 yard game, you know, on 4 or 5 catches, and it's going to be a situation where we say, okay, this is when things started to click. He's going to be just as integral into the offense as Douglas and Booty. Not saying that they're going to be 100-yard receivers or anything like that, but if we can add in a third receiver that can reliably get 40 to 50 yards a game with a young core, this team can start cooking.
Love it. Would love to see that happen. I'd also love to see one of our dozens of fans put together some kind of supercut of us over the years talking about the receiver prospect the Patriots drafted in like the 2nd or 3rd round and how he's finally due for a breakout game.
Yep.
And it never happening. Eventually, somebody's going to break this streak, and it may as well be Polk. It hasn't been anybody else we talked about over the past 10 years been doing this, but maybe Polk is the guy to maybe finally turn the corner. Do you think, Rich Hill, this represents the first 300-yard passing game for Drake May of his career this week?
Oh, interesting. I'm going to say no, only because that's a high threshold. I think that this Rams secondary, even though I don't think that they're great, there's only been like one 300-yard passer. It was the Seahawks in overtime that they've had all year. So I would be shocked if Drake May had his first one against the secondary. Will he hit 250? Maybe. I can see that. I think that's like much more reasonable. But if he finishes the game with like 240 yards, 2 scores, and no interceptions, that's going to be a massive day for him.
I would love that, especially no interceptions. I don't want to see an interception or a strip sack where he's holding the ball too long. Again, they're going to happen, but as long as you learn from them and keep moving forward. Again, this is a very interesting matchup, and I really, really don't know what to expect or how to predict this one, which leads me, unless you have anything else you want to break down, we talk about the other predictions.
Let's go to predictions.
All right. Prediction for this game is brought to you by Game Time. For those that might want to go to the Patriots-Rams game and see if Rich and I are right in person, go to gametime.co. It is the best place to get any event ticket you want, sports, concerts, shows, you name it. It has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams and events even easier because it filters out the fluff to show you only the great deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It's got all-in pricing. That's my favorite feature. It toggles it. You can set the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Game Time Picks curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. And the lowest price guarantee means that Game Time will refund you or credit you 110% of the difference if you can find cheaper tickets elsewhere. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Teams apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. It's prediction time, Rich Hill, and you have the hammer again. You won. You said the Patriots win this one 23-21. They didn't, but when they did win the game, I had the Bears winning, so it's back to you. And honestly, I'm glad I lost this one because I have no clue what's going to happen in this game. So I'm going to sit here, listen to your prediction, and then base my prediction solely off what you have to say. So go. Pats, Rams, who you got?
I have a bold one. I think the Patriots win this.
Woo!
I don't know if that's bold, actually, but I think the Patriots win this one, and I have a few thoughts why. One, the Rams have only won one game on the road this year, and it was in Seattle. So they have not won outside of the West Coast this year. And it's one where I think that matters, especially as it's getting colder here. I think it's a situation where Patriots are coming off of a good performance against the Bears. I think that they're going to build on it. As I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots passing attack had a solid day. And I think that the Patriots defense is coming off their best performance of the year, obviously. And I think that they'll continue to build on it. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I do think that the Patriots will win this one something like 24-20 with the Rams driving down at the end of the day and the Patriots able to stop them in the red zone or something of that nature when Stafford needs to get a touchdown to win.
Awesome. I'd love a old school Duron Harmon style game sealing end zone pick. I love it. I will take it. Well, again, since I really have no clue, like I said earlier in the podcast, passing with 3-0 over the next 3 weeks, 0-3, 2-1, 1-2, any combination. I'm going to make this easy, and I will just take the Rams. Not because I have any real confidence in that pick, but I'm more just going to make my life easier come our next podcast. The Rams are a good team. The one thing that concerns me about the Rams is your point about how their offense is probably way more potent than we've seen so far this season. And the Rams have a lot more to play for right now. The NFC West is kind of a mess of the division in terms of the fighting for jockeying for position. And the Rams are still very much alive in the playoff hunt. I think they know this is a very winnable game for them. And a loss here would mean a lot more for them than a win for the Patriots. And sometimes playing with their back against the wall like that can cause you to really light it up. So I'm going to go with the Rams in this game. Not by a lot either. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think the Rams win this one something like 21-14.
All right. Well, you're a hater, so thank you for that, Alec.
You got it.
And have nothing to play for here. If the Patriots win this one, they'll be a 4-win team. I am expecting the Colts to kind of lose as well. Patriots are like 2 games back of the wild card. Obviously not going to happen. They have 2 games against the Bills. It's going to be bad. They also have a game against the Chargers, I think. Like, it's going to be a rough end to the year. But I think that they're going to give some hope that they could make it. And I think that the next couple of weeks, they also have a game against the Colts as well. I think that the Patriots will tease their way into the top 8 of the AFC before the wheels kind of come off, maybe have one last win against the Cardinals late in the year. I don't think that they'll beat the Bills in either of those matchups, but I think that the Patriots will give fans enough hope to think that next year will be a good year, that this will have ultimately been like a progression year. And I think that a win against the Rams is in the cards.
It is in the cards. And honestly, I'm going to get too far ahead of myself here, Rich Hill, but I think just historically, a win against the Bills, one of those 2 games, isn't like a wild prediction. And the Chargers never beat the Patriots. They just don't for whatever reason. So there's a reality where the Pats get like 7 or 8 wins this season. It's a ridiculous reality, but it's not a complete fiction. But it all starts this week. Hopefully you're right. I would love to come back here, eat some more crow, and see you finally caught up to me in the 1 beer standings that we bet. So, rock on.
All right. Well, next time when we regroup, I'll be right. You'll be wrong. And until next time, Alec, you have a good one.
You too, buddy. See you.
Later, man.